Good evening, welcome. My name is Bakar Bey. I'm here with my cohorts, partners in mastermind and family life. My brother Maurice. How you doing tonight, Maurice?
I'm doing good. I'm excellent.
And my Jita and special guest, business owner. She's a career professional, entrepreneur, just all around hardworking woman. Actually, I put her to work today at the beach. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But special guest, how you doing tonight, Majida?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I like it.
Is Majida the special guest, or is her little ones the special guest?
Well, see, I figure if I mention them, they're gonna jump in. So we'll find time for them. Maybe.
They're not.
Well,
yeah, right now.
Well, excited to have you all here. Let me go ahead and share this out.
Yes, please. Go ahead and share that out to your page.
Mm-hmm.
And while Bakar is sharing that and Majida is sharing that, I just want to welcome y'all, whichever who's ever tuning in. Appreciate y'all tuning in with us tonight. We're about to get a conversation popping here in a second, and we're gonna talk about some good stuff tonight. We're gonna help move the needle. We're gonna talk about moving our own needles, and hopefully try to help you watch and move the needle as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So once again, we are three parts of the SEER Mastermind Group, founding members, Maurice Bey, Majida Bey, and myself, Bakar. We are family, but we're also creative entrepreneurs, working to create a legacy of generational wealth, and is also within the Mastermind Group provide individuals who are entrepreneurs, who are creative and looking to grow and build their businesses or just get around like-minded people. We offer support and encouragement. That's what we're building a community around, as well as some accountability and recognition. We all recognize in different spaces that those are really important pieces to being able to build and grow. And sometimes what you don't see is the journey to success. So that's what we're showcasing and sharing, our story, our journey, our way, as the podcast is titled. Tonight, man, we've got great conversation, but man, I just want to start by checking in. Last time we were together was on Juneteenth, and we talked about the significance of that day as it impacts and what it means to us, each and every one of us, in light of all of what's going on and changing in the world. And tomorrow, many will be celebrating American Independence Day from the British. And so, one of the things I just wanted to throw out to y'all, are you guys celebrating the 4th Independence Day?
Celebrating my daughter's birthday.
All right. Happy birthday to the young one. There she is. How about you, Maurice? You doing anything?
Nah, I'm not doing anything. Tomorrow is significant, but I get the point that you're making, so I'm not doing anything, no sir.
No. Well, actually, I was invited to a friend's homecoming. I mean, not homecoming. What is it? Housewarming party tomorrow, and I've been strictly avoiding a lot of any social gatherings. For the last going on 4 months.
Same here.
I've been in deep quarantine, so one of the things I'm looking forward to is really just seeing how people are getting along socially. And actually, I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. At the same time, I realized after these months, I'm starting to miss people. I've been enjoying it. Anybody else there with me? Starting to miss people a little bit.
I guess you could say, missing the connection, but being a truck driver, being out on the road, just piggybacking on what you're saying just now, just kind of, seeing how people gonna behave this weekend, if you want to use that word, and, how they gonna be getting out, looking at the roads, man, it's like, wow, people are out and about like more than before the quarantine started. That's kind of how it appears from looking at the interstate. But really? It ain't nowhere. It's not an environment that I look out into and say, man, I miss people so much that I want to go get out into that. No, sir. No, sir. I'm kind of like you. It's like I just sit back and watch. Y'all are like y'all having a good time.
I feel you. What about you, Majida?
Not much has changed for me. I mean, as far as my engagement, I do miss my Mocha moms though. You know, we would meet
Oh,
Shout out to the Mocha Moms.
a couple times a month, so it was good for the children and good, you know, just to be around that environment. And I've been in contact with them a little bit over the last few months. But yeah, that's probably about the only thing.
Yeah,
Mocha mom.
and also, Mr. Mocha Moms. I know you went down to the beach today. What was that scene like?
I mean, it was a beach scene, you know.
Oh, people
Children,
out there just like normal.
yeah. I mean, you know, some people had masks on going into the Ben and Jerry's, but other than that, I mean, we went to Yorktown Beach, so it wasn't like Virginia Beach. Like we didn't have any
Okay.
traffic. We got a good parking.
Okay. Nice.
We was able to
Nice.
get there, good time, you know, enjoy ourselves, and then get out. So
I feel that. And I mean, I'm asking because I mean, it's something I'm really curious and looking to see how it plays out tomorrow. Like I said, I've been strictly avoiding any and all social gatherings except for those that are like online and like this. And I realized like this it's great when you have a chance to spend time with yourself uh, and to be able to kind of figure out how you want to move and things that you're doing. This quarantine has been great for that. But I recognize, man, there is a lot of value to being able to be face to face with people in person, being able to, you know, like touch and connect and to observe. I'm a huge observer in an environment. And so, you know, being in chat rooms and conference calls and things like this all the time is just not my social scene. You know what I mean?
I do.
So
I feel you.
today, I mean, one of the things we wanted to talk about then is, you know, what are some of those things that influence you? And you know, conversation kind of came up because we've been talking about, you know, how we're developing, how we're building, how we're growing ourselves. Who are the associations that, you know, we're focused on, the people that we're connecting with. You know, we're talking about health and wealth. Um, we're talking about entrepreneurship, building business, building family, about mental health. We've been talking about a lot of things. If you haven't checked them out, please check out the previous podcast on YouTube or in our group. You know, be posted. But what are some of the things that you feel influence you or influencing you in the new climate, the new normal that we're adjusting to?
Oh, I was waiting for my Gina to answer that.
I guess what's influencing me is the virtual space, individuals that I've been able to connect with and learning how to be more visible at on or online. So I would say those connections, you know, other entrepreneurs who've been successful marketing online and things like that, I've been engaged with. You know, a lot of people locally. And aside from that, you know, my regular podcast, but I've been listening to that since before COVID in 2020. So, and then just mentorship. So, no, I mean, nothing's really like changed for me, you know, other than making a decision to become more visible online, you know, so people know I exist. But that's specifically for my business, not so much for like me personally. So.
Gotcha. What about you, Maurice? What are some major influences in your life?
During times like this, during times of change and turbulence, I like to rely on old school stuff, right? I'm thinking
Say
of the
more.
word. I'm thinking of the word timeless, but that's not really what I want to say. I want to be influenced by the things that I want to say the things that always work. That's what I'm wanting to say. But just old school influences, man. You know, during a time like this, Like if you're influencing like the people that are pitching quick fixes, to me during a time like this are a lot less valuable. Because like right now, to me, during times of change, that's when you need to be prepared to go back to work. That's when you need to be prepared to go back to the drawing board. That's when you need to go be prepared to go back to knuckling down, buckling in, if you want to say it any of those ways. And so the old school, you know what I mean? Like you get these trendy teachers, teachings, trendy ways of doing things that work when the environment is a little bit softer, you know what I'm saying? But when the environment hardens up, like you got to go back to what really, really works. Forget all of the
tried and
short.
true.
Exactly. You got to go back. That's the perfect word for it. Exactly. So during a time like this, what's the influence that's most important on me, to me, are the ones that seem to just line up with what's the tried and true techniques. You know what I mean? So anybody that I'm listening to that is, talking about doing the work, digging in, doing the work, persistence, outlasting the competition, outwitting the competition, right? Just straight grinding out and outworking. Those are the type of influences that I'm welcoming in my life right now. And the ones that are kind of, you know what I mean, pitching something a little bit intentionally making it sound easier than we all know it is. Right now, to me, it's those ones right there that are easier than ever to call out and say, look, man, come on, man. You know what I mean? Let's just get back to what we know works. They just say there are no new truths under the sun. You know what I mean? So I like to focus on stuff like that, just to get some specific names. I like Napoleon Hill, of course. I've been listening to a lot of Bob Proctor this past week because those are timeless things that those people are talking about. Those are just a few examples, Napoleon Hill and Bob Proctor, but there's several other people out there as well. Wallace Wattles, Science of Getting Rich, stuff like that, man. Just timeless stuff.
Oh, that's interesting. And I found a lot during this time. I found myself sitting with my own thoughts. One of the things when I take in a lot of information, listening to podcasts and reading, I like to spend time with it to connect with the information myself, so that I'm not just similar to what you're saying, running and chasing these different trends, but really distilling it, for that tried and true information, for those things that stick and last and go long term, that are long lasting. And kind of out in left field, I've been finding myself listening to a lot more comedians, right? I listen to The Daily Show a lot with Trevor Noah, and he always gives a very honest and just intelligent take on the climate and things that are going on. But I recognize other comedians, one of the things that comedians often bring is a sense of like being able to show us our true selves, to be able to point the finger at who we are, what we do, and so that we can laugh and bring a little levity to it.
In an entertaining way, yes.
Yeah, in an entertaining way. But a lot of times they're telling us truths that maybe we don't want to deal with on a regular basis, some of those hard truths. And it's been really interesting as I've been listening to some of these different comedic voices, talk about, people, relationships. And, I listened to Dave Chappelle's, 846 recently. And he was speaking about, the police shootings and he just ran off a number of different incidents, and there was some comedic moments in it, but it was just this raw, edgy, honest take on what the climate is. And people will listen to someone like a Dave Chappelle because of, and he tell you, he doesn't want to be heard, or he doesn't want to be one of those voices in a time like this, but people will listen to him because of, that entertainment value, but also because of the honesty, because of those truths that he shared. So for me, it's been helpful bringing sort of levity, but also challenging me to look, at things from that honest perspective and say, these are the things that we're going to look back and laugh on. Man, do you remember when the pandemic hit? who knows, 5-10 years from now, we still may be living in a climate like this. Man, life changed in 2020 when that pandemic, man, we had plans and things like that. It had to completely shuffle and change everything. So
I don't know if we're going to ever
about,
be laughing about that, man.
You know what? And I think that's the thing, man, is looking at the times and looking at where we are today. I was talking with a friend today, and they asked you, man, how are things going? I was like, man, it can only get better from here. My best days are definitely ahead. And I think for all of us, who are working and grinding and trying to find that space, it's all of our best days are ahead, unless we done found a slippery slope that nobody's going to recover from. But I don't imagine that's what what's happening. So that's real interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just listening to what you, I was listening to what you said, and you was like, we get to a point that we like, looking back and we're able to laugh at this. But I don't know if I ever see that happening, man. I don't. I remember. I'm old enough to remember when the crack epidemic hit. You know what I'm saying? And we hopefully we never get to a point that we look back on that and laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I remember when crack epidemic first hit, man. So who knows, man? Who knows?
I mean, and that's interesting because if you think, I think about again, some of those influences. When I listen to comedic voices, you could hear, jokes about, oh man, I know Dave Chappelle actually had a famous character, a very popular character on his show, that was Tyrone Biggums. And who was he? Crackhead. And it's influences from that time, from that era, that had some really strong and adverse effects on people. Maybe those who didn't live through it would feel it the same way that you would. I was thinking about, my nieces and how, 5-year-old would talk about what's going on, how her first year of school interrupted by the virus. And she's not going to understand it the way that we do.
I agree.
And how this is, really thrown the whole world into this new space. But for her, that'll be her normal, right? My first year of school was ended by the virus, and, life was really defined. I mean, that's a similar moment for a 5 or 6-year-old. They'll never forget it.
I would have never forgot it. We just lost a whole school year. I would have never forgot it.
Events like 9/11, how that changed, the course of our history. I know to this day, I've gotten a little numb to shootings because I was at the Virginia Tech massacre in 2007. Lost a couple of friends. That'll never hit the same.
Of course,
people may talk casually about it, but for me, it'll always rock me to my core. And that's not something that I ever look back and laugh on,
or anything close to laughing about it. Yeah.
But I know that event has been a huge influencer in my life, and really inspiring me to want to live every day, intentionally, to live every day meaningfully. And it's been a process over time, learning and kind of growing and recognizing, man, no day is promised. But, what we have is a time to be able to live and to do what we can with the days that we have. So looking ahead, I'm curious. I want to pose this question to Majida. Looking ahead 5 years from now, where do you imagine yourself in the climate that we are today? If you had to start a life today, where do you imagine yourself in the next 5 years? What does that look like?
5 years. I count time in terms of my children's ages. So
a very parental thing to do, right?
11 and 7. I would love to be. I would love to provide them the experience of traveling abroad, maybe a study abroad program, immerse them in a different culture, just really get them exposure, allow them to be able to experience certain things, see different places, see see the world a little bit from a different perspective. Because I think sometimes in the country we take a lot of things for granted. We have certain luxuries, certain privileges that people don't have, not just in other places in the world, in this country as well. So just really give them an opportunity to have those experiences. So now, I mean, and kind of to piggyback on what Maurice said, we talk about what's tried and true. Like, I don't think the world's gonna stop turning COVID-19.
No.
It makes the way that we engage or the way certain things are implemented, but I don't think life stops. People are still traveling. People are still, there's just additional precautions maybe that you have to take, and certain measures that you have to take, in commuting. But before COVID-19, I still wanted to provide those type of experiences for my children. So,
okay,
5 years from now, I still plan to do that. Allah willing.
And you could teach them about, the time the world did come to a slow, well,
whatever you want to call it.
I don't even know what to call it. However we're going to describe
whatever
it.
You want to call
5 years from now. What about you, Maurice? 5 years from now, man, what do you imagine yourself doing? Yourself, your family?
5 years from now, I plan to be in a position to offer my family, my wife, and my children more of me. For me, the big plan is about capturing my time back. Well, that's what it feels like. It's about getting my time back. I have a young family. For those that don't know, because I don't talk about my family much, is nowhere near as much as I should. I'm 44. I'll be 45 in October. I married my companion, my close companion, about oh my gosh, I was about to say about 4 or 5 years ago. I married my close companion, and my wife is 9 years younger than me, and she's beautiful, and she deserves more of me. And I would like to put myself in a position. My plan is to put myself in a position over the course of the next 5 years to be able to spend more time with my wife, with my companion. Right. I was thinking about that, not to get off subject, but I was doing a lot of strong thinking on us, and it's like, what is it that made me want to marry Yasmin? And I think the main thing that made me want to marry the woman that I chose to marry was she is my companion, right? She's the perfect person to spend the rest of my life with, as far as I'm concerned. And so because of that, I right now I feel real guilty at times about not being able to spend more time with my wife and being able to give my wife the type of time and attention that she deserves. So my goal, one, is to put myself in a position over the course of the next 5 years where I can be there more for my wife, where I can be present more. I don't want to have to leave the house to work. To work as much as I do now. I don't have a problem with leaving the house to work, but if I leave the house to work, if I leave my beautiful wife to work, I need to be bringing home some bacon, some serious bacon. If I ain't bringing home no bacon, it ain't worth leaving my wife. You know what I mean? It really is not. That don't mean, stay home and be broke with my wife or go out and make a bunch of money. It's just that a lot of times I feel guilty right now because I don't feel like the trade-off is worth it. It's like, man, I need to be, I heard Grant Cardone talk about that before. On running his business. He's like, look, man, one of the reasons why I charge my clients so much is because I got to leave my family to come and see that client. And so they got to make it worth my while. You know what I mean? So that's one of the main goals, to put myself in position to be able to spend more time with my wife and being able to be there more for my two beautiful children, my two beautiful children that still live with me. I got a daughter that's 18 years old, beautiful daughter. She needs me more. Right, my family needs me, man. Bottom line, and I need my family, and I need my family too. So for me, the main issue is time. That's the main goal. That's the main thing I feel like I'm trying to get here. I need to get my time back so that I can spend my time doing the things that I love to do, and being with the people that I want to be with, and having the energy to spend, to run behind my children, and to court my wife. Talking about my wife again, you know, just not being tired when I get off from work. You know, and I was listening to Napoleon Hill talk about that, how he's always courting his wife, you know. And I'm like, man, you know, me and my wife would love to be able to court each other still, you know what I mean? But a lot of the times we don't have the energy. We really don't. And that's not just me, that's her as well, you know what I mean? So, but for me, and for definitely for me, it's about putting myself in a position where I can offer my family more of me and offer them more of my time.
Wow. And it seems like family is very important to the both of you all. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm the single guy on here with no children, but I do have a beautiful partner all the way on the other side of the country. I'll share a quick story. So, you know, we met last year in 2019, and you know, went out a couple of times as friends. You know, wasn't really courting or looking for that, and at the time, then we finally met each other, and you know, just had a strong connection. You know, decided to get together, and about 3 weeks later, she moved from where I am in Virginia all the way across the country to San Diego, where she used to live. She's got a family, you know, 3 beautiful children, all teenagers, and you know, I enjoy being with them. Actually, took a trip at the end of February out to go see Yvette. Love you. And I got back to Virginia right, you know, actually on my flight back. Had a wonderful time actually in San Diego. Fell in love with the city, and know that I'm going to be, you know, a two coaster the rest of my life. You know, at least two coasts. I have family, and my roots are here, you know, in Virginia. But San Diego also felt like, you know, my home away from home, or my home with my new family. You know, if all things continue to work out as they're going, and I imagine that they will. So, you know, in the next 5 years, I see myself, you know, moving across the country and spending time, you know, with that new family, being able to grow and develop. You know, we talk all the time, and it's been difficult dealing with the distance for sure. You know, especially in a new relationship, you get to know, we spend a whole lot of time together, you know, for about 3 weeks, and then boom, it's like, oh man, I didn't have plans. You know, when I was writing my plans for 2020, I didn't have plans to be traveling across the country as much as I want to now, right? I definitely wanted to travel. I wanted to grow my business. I wanted to reach out and reconnect. I had a chance to do some of that. And then on my way back, I was in LAX, and my flight back home was shut down for about an hour because of a COVID scare, right? Because of a scare. And I had never been on a plane and had experienced anything like that. Nothing like that. The guy I met, sitting next to him, we were just having a conversation. He was like, man, have you ever experienced? And all our years flying, had never experienced something like that. And one lady, she was wrapped up and bundled up. I mean, this was early, right at the end of February. I think it was on the 29th as well. Never experienced anything like that. And, you know, she was freaking out. You know, she was like, I got to get off this plane. I have to get off this plane. I'm not. And I'm like, what is this thing that serious? So when I got home, then I started, you know, reading and researching and checking this thing out and saying, man, what's happening? And, you know, no, not 2 weeks later, like the whole world was on quarantine, right? And so going from a space of where, you know, you're spending time with someone and you're growing, you're developing, you know, you're being positive influences on not only your lives. You know, I enjoy really spending time with her kids as well. You know, we put together a couple of chairs or something like that. We talk all the time about her needing help just setting stuff up, you know, desks and shelves in a new place. And funny story, she had some trouble getting a bottle of bleach off the top of the dryer washing machine. It took her like 10 minutes, when if we were there, if we were together, man, I could have did it in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? So, you know, creating and crafting a plan with those people in mind. And I think, you know, this time has definitely caused me to appreciate not only spending time, you know, alone. I know how critical that is, and it has always been, you know, just to be able to stay in touch and connect with myself. but also being in touch with those people that are closest to you. Because there's nothing like being in their presence. You know, I'm an observer. I'm one of those people who, you know, I have to get into the room, kind of feel the pulse and the environment, or bring the energy. And it's just not the same, you know, trying to break through that fourth wall with people, right? Like I want to come through the screen and connect with people. So for those that are watching and sharing, man, we're thinking about you. We're wanting to connect with you, and hope that, you know, you're creating a plan for yourself for these next 5 years.
Yeah, you know, man. Just to piggyback on what you just now said, about creating a plan for yourself for the next 5 years. Yeah, I jotted down some things, man, that I would like to us to chat a little bit about. And you can piggyback on this or not. But I mean, I just wrote down a few things. One thing I wrote down that we were going to talk about, I was going to come up in this conversation, of course, was, you know, influences. But something else that I wrote down that I figured would come up, and you kind of stepped into it just now, is getting back on track, right? You mentioned getting back. You talking about, you know, for the plan for the next 5 years. I was thinking about getting back on the subject of getting back on track for 2020, right? We talked about this already. It is the middle of this year, right? So not only just us that are on this show, not only just us started off with wanting to achieve certain goals for 2020, but I'm sure it's a lot of other people out there as well had their mind set on achieving a certain goal in 2020 or achieving certain goals in 2020. And so just with COVID and everything, just with all of the quote unquote distractions that's been going on, like, man, you know, it's really time to focus on getting back on track. You know, kind of like Majida spoke about a minute ago. COVID is happening, but apparently, you know, the world is not gonna stop because of it. So time is still gonna pass, right? Tomorrow is still gonna come. 6 months from now is still gonna come. I think Jim Rohn says 6 months from now you're going to arrive somewhere. The question is wait, right? So talking about getting back on track, revamping your goals and objectives for 2021 for 2020. You know, all of us, I'm sure, had a plan, right? We had a plan. But sometimes you do have to revamp your goals and objectives, right? Sometimes you do have to, if you're going down the interstate and, you know, you're trying to get from point A to point B and you don't get off at the correct exit, then you got to revamp your goals. You know what I mean? You're still trying to get to the same place, but you may need to, you know, figure out a way to get turned around on the highway. You may need to figure out, you know, okay, well, I missed the exit. Now, let me reprogram my GPS so that my GPS can take me to where I want to go from where I am now, being that I missed the exit. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about revamping the goals, right? You know, you may be at a different point now than you were 6 months ago, but it truly is about recalibrating. You know what I mean? All right, okay,
absolutely.
You know, the distractions, we got that going on, but you know, where am I right now? Where am I trying to go? Just getting intentional. I guess that's a good word for it. Getting intentional, right? We don't have control over everything that happens to us. That is 100% true. But I think intention does matter. I think intention does matter, especially when you're thinking about trying to keep yourself from being all over the place, right? 2021. What do you want? You asked about, you know, 5 years from now, what you want your life to be like.
Absolutely.
And I was thinking 2021, what do I want things to be like by then? What I want to have accomplished by then? Because again, it is coming up. You know, we're 6 months into this year now, but starting on the 7th month now. So it's the second half. And before you know it, we're going to be talking 2021 and goals for 2021. So now is definitely the time to start thinking about 2021, planting those seeds for it right now. A sense of urgency, having a sense of urgency. That's something else that popped up that I wanted to, that I figured we would probably end up getting into somehow or some way. Sense of urgency. And last but not least, what is enough? What is enough, right? I make enough money. I earn enough money. I'm going to do enough, right? You know, this is what I believe is required to get the job done. And so my objective is to do enough, right? But being that you never know what the future brings, that makes me think, you know, what is enough, right? Everybody makes enough until they don't, until something happens, all right? You know what I mean? So I think Grant Cardone talks about that in 10X, right? You right, applying the right amount of effort, because you really don't know what enough is. And so his philosophy in 10X is to shoot for a goal where if you don't hit the goal, then you know, or if you don't hit your 10X goal, then you know you still devoured the original goal that you want to get. Because a lot of the times we bottom line, we just don't put forth enough effort because what we want is here, and we say, well, I'm gonna do just enough. But what is enough? It seems to me that it's either you fall short or you got enough. One of the two. You can't really play it. You can't really play it close like that. So those are the things that I was just thinking about, man. Individual intent is important right now in a world of seems pretty chaotic. What your individual intent is, and just being intentional. Just being intentional. Like I said, you can't always control what happens to you, but what do you want to have happen? I think that matters more than ever. I think you got to keep that in mind more than ever in turbulent times. Don't get so the situation can get crazy, but I don't think that the situation can ever get crazy enough where it overrides your ability to create. Right.
Absolutely.
So just kind of thinking about some of those things, man. I'll shut up for a sec.
Well, what's your question? I'm curious.
I didn't really have a question. I knew we were going to talk about influences, and so I just kind of tried to go a step further and figure out where that conversation would lead to, and so I just wrote down those things right there, But I mean, let's start with it. I'll ask a question. Getting back on track, right? So we probably have talked about this before. What are some things that you're doing? What are some things that you're doing? What do you think some things are that a person could do? That's a good question to help them get back on track, right? Got a lot of goals I want to accomplish, but it got crazy on me this year, and I still want to get things done, but it's still crazy, right? So what are some things that a person can do to get back on track, that desires to get back on track and salvage the rest of this year? And that's a question to either one of y'all.
Majid, you want to go first? Or you want to let me take it?
You go ahead.
Actually, I'd like to hear what you have to say. I had some thoughts, but some told me to hold them back and let me listen to a wiser voice first.
I think it's a couple things. One is something that you spoke about, spending the time with yourself and getting clear. Like when you have clarity, when you have purpose behind what you do, like there is no getting off track. You might get but like you're clear about where you're going, so you just figure out a different route to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't focus on the obstacles in front of you. You focus on your destination. And so clarity is everything. If you allow circumstances, if you allow situations to dictate your actions, you're not clear. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just doing stuff because everything is gravy. And when things ain't gravy, then you want to blame your circumstances. You want to blame the environment. And Jim Rohn, kind of back to the timeless principles, Jim Rohn speaks about that all the time. It's not the blowing of the wind, it's the setting of the sail. You just got to set a different sail. And so that will be first, clarity. And then two, if maybe you're not clear and you need help with getting clear, and a coach is invaluable. I know it might seem trendy right now. You have a lot of people out there. And to Maurice's point, yeah, you want to be definitely careful. You don't want somebody to hype you up, make you feel like, oh, it's just going to be easy. That coach really is to help you with accountability, help you with your focus, and the things that you could be doing to move you in the direction that you want to go. So just like the Black Mamba had a coach, Michael Jordan had a coach, it's no different than having a doctor or having a therapist. Like it's just somebody,
a lawyer
right. It's just a professional, somebody that you can bounce ideas off of and keep you on track. Can help you make sure that you're in the right direction. So a lot of times, you may not know, you may be doing things, you might be busy, but you may not be productive. You may be busy, but you may not really accomplish what you want to accomplish. So somebody to help you with the strategic movement toward the things that you say you want to achieve. So in terms of getting back on track, first be clear about what it is that you want, and that should keep you focused. And if you need help with the actions you take to get what you want, then get a coach. That would be my suggestion of what a person can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that. I'm glad I listened first. And I'm going to echo some of the same things that you said about having clarity and purpose. Go a little deeper and say, one of the things that I found, has been really helpful in having that clarity and focus is simply to revisit your goals, right? Revisit your goals. Because I imagine that the climate that you're in will cause you to look at your goals from a different perspective now, right? Take a look at your goals. Well, man, I wanted to accomplish this. And you know what? Sometimes we get attached to how we're going to do something as opposed to what we're going to do to get there, right? So when I think about when Majida introduced me to the game Cash Flow, years ago, we sit down and played a board game, and everybody starts off, they're dealt the hand that they're dealt, right? So, the way the game, for those that don't know Cash Flow, you're given an occupation and you're given some, an expense card, and basically your goal is to grow your passive income so that it's greater than your expenses. And then you could break yourself out of this small little board that you're just spinning around the rat race, and you get to, explore and expand and to grow into the world of business and entrepreneurship and freedom. I don't know what they call it in the game outside of the rat race.
They call it out of the rat race, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's just what it is.
That's what they refer to it, I believe.
It's the dream track. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, the dream track. But I feel like just about every time I played that game, I always seem to come very close, or if not, the first one out of the rat race, right? And to me, like that, playing that game gave me really a sense of a purpose about my life. Like I know no matter what, my goal is to get out of the rat race, right? In order to be able to help and serve others in greater capacity the rest of my life, right? The rest of my life starts tomorrow. So every day it's coming up with a plan that works for me in order to rat race. Because until I'm out of rat race, I really can't grow the way that I want to. I'm not gonna say I can't grow. I know that
I would say that's accurate. I would say that's totally accurate. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not gonna put somebody. That's just me. I'm not gonna put myself in the box where I'm saying I can't grow, because again, even in the rat race, you find space to grow. You expand yourself so that you can't spend time in it anymore.
Yeah, but a beggar people will never attain to the highest that is in them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why just having a focus on revisiting your goals, looking at your goals from the beginning of this year at the midway point, and you'll probably think about them a little different. I know that one of my goals I wrote down, my family is my biggest priority, my sanctuary, right? So I've had a chance this year to be family to myself, or be with family, be surrounded by family, right? To understand the dynamics, be able to get, deal with the tensions, as well as the gratitude of being able to have a family that you can, that works with you, that supports you, that believes in your goals and your dreams, and encourages you towards those things. And I still have a strong desire to be with my own family, to get across the country, be able to spend some time with Yvette and the children, and, to be able to head out to the beaches every day and have that flexibility of freedom working, as a creative entrepreneur. And had a funny experience this week where a guy out the blue, was looking for something. He searched on LinkedIn, found my name attached to what he was looking for. This happened to be, he was looking for a business in our industry, in the financial industry. Found my name, saw that I was somebody, close to his demographic. He reached out, set up an appointment. And I didn't do anything. This is work that I did 3 years ago. Just setting up so that when people are searching for something, they can find me. He said one of the first things that came up was me, closest person to him, right? And I'm saying, man, I want life happening more like that.
Nice, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was amazing, man. I woke up and I checked my calendar and I was just like, let me confirm this, because it just popped up out of the blue. I hadn't talked to anybody, hadn't put out any feelers, had been working in a whole different space. And then somebody just reaches out and it's like, man, it's a good thing that I'm still in connection, in contact with those people. I had those resources out there. And it just caused my mind to start working more, to start working harder, right? Because I did the work years ago, I had a clear plan for what I want to accomplish. Man, I'm seeing, maybe a fruit, part of the harvest starting to show itself, right? At unexpected time.
Yeah.
And so it got my mind working, man. I sat down as I was getting prepared to talk with them. Man, I resold myself my own dreams. I was like, man, I'm going through and I'm asking myself the questions that I asked him, and the answers that are coming to me, like, yes, I do want that. Yes, I am, working toward that. Yes, it is important to have such and such. It is, critical to be able to have a plan for your life, to have coaches working, mentors working with you, to have support and family, to have clarity and all of those various things. And so the biggest thing, like I said, is just revisit your goal and take a different look at them, right? Don't think about how you were going to accomplish. Just think about, what do you need to do now to get there? So that would be my one nugget.
Yeah.
And I think, go ahead, Mark. Well,
no, go ahead.
Just from what Bakar just shared, it's planting seeds. You
Absolutely.
Can't focus on the harvest. You got to focus on planting seeds, because that's all you can control. Yes, you can cultivate
on the apple seed.
You can cultivate those seeds. You can water it, make sure it gets sunshine, but you don't control which ones will actually grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so just focus on planting, and that's what you'll find, is that the more seeds you plant, the more harvest is bound to come. You don't know when, but just keep planting. So in terms of, answering Maurice's question about how to get back on track, just keep planting seeds wherever you find yourself. If there's something that you want to accomplish, there's a goal that you want to reach, plant seeds, continuously plant seeds. It could just be having a conversation with somebody, telling somebody where you're going, sharing your dream. Yes, you want to be careful who you share it with, because you don't want people who are going to, discourage you or criticize your dream. But sometimes you just got to talk big. Like, look, this is where I'm going, and this is why I'm going there. And put yourself in an environment where you can cultivate that growth, even for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Planting seeds with yourself, with the mindset that, like, I want more for my life, I want better for my life, and then put yourself in an environment where you can actually cultivate that. If you are, for example, an apple tree trying to grow in an orange orchard, you know what I mean? Like, the environment isn't necessarily conducive for you to grow. So you need
I was
to
gonna say something like that.
environment around
there's
other
a reason.
apple trees.
I was gonna say, there's a reason the cactus grow in the desert, right? Because they're built a certain way,
right?
And everybody's not built to take on, built like that. So yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Important. Sorry to cut you off.
No. And then, even I think about the event we had last night, one of the speakers shared, just the idea that, like, being around other people who
what was the event?
It was Couples and Money. We were talking about Couples and Money with our group Momentum Mentors. And
don't forget to plug that at the later on, because we got a couple more events coming up next couple of weeks.
Our guest speaker mentioned that, by him being in an environment with people who had a different blueprint from what he was used to, it's like you can't be in an environment with people who are doing better, or who maybe have the things that you aspire to have, without it impacting you in some way, if you allow it to, right? Like, you could just be a dud and not receive that. But when you get in an environment where people are doing things a certain way, and you allow it to influence you positively, those positive influences can definitely help you. So environment is huge. Like, just who you surround yourself with, your association. And so in terms of influence, the associations, the environments that you're in, the books that you read. You know, Maurice has mentioned a couple authors or speakers in terms of Bob Proctor, you know, and they've written books, and their insight about personal development and who you become. That's a different way of thinking. And so if you get around people who are thinking that way, you're bound to start thinking differently yourself. So.
Yeah, Paulo Coelho is one of my favorite authors, author of The Four Agreements, you know, and the Warriors. I
No.
think that.
Four Agreements is Miguel.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Coelho as well. Well, two authors that I do sit and read, but they talk about, you know, ways to be, right? You know, the Four Agreements is something that I come back to constantly in my trade group. You know, we harp on and talk about every Friday in our call, and it's pretty, you know, easy to remember those four agreements, right? Be impeccable with your word, take nothing personally, make no assumptions, and always do your best. And I think in a time like this, you know, those are four simple things. I'll repeat those for those listening. Be impeccable with your word, make no assumptions, take nothing personally, and always do your best, right? Times like this, you remember those simple lessons. It can keep you focused on who you are and what you want and where you want to be. And at the same time, as you're working and developing and building and growing, when you brought up that point of environment, you know, I know sometimes we go back and forth about environment. You know, we don't want to be products of our environment unless we have a very positive and healthy environment, of course. You know, our goal is to be a product of a great environment. At the same time, we also talk about creating the environment you need to thrive as well. And so there is, you know, some compromise that goes on. You know, you have to put yourself in the right environments or create the environment that you want and need in order to grow the way that you want. Right? So that's something to be thinking about constantly and critically is, you know, what sort of environments am I creating around myself? And by creating, I mean, like, what choices are you making, you know, about the environments that you situate yourself in? Like I said, for me, outside of calls like this, where I actually get to, you know, really connect and I know you all well, I feel very close in this environment, talking with and speaking with you. Sometimes on these huge and major calls, it feels like, you know, you get lost in the numbers, right? Unless, of course, you're speaking up and talking and hitting on, you know, goals, and they're recognizing and doing things that you're supposed to do. And so, you know, that could be another thing is, man, you hit your goals and you'll still continue to be recognized. But I really like those close, even in a large crowd, I seek out a few individuals to spend my time with, you know, people that can give me a lot of value in not necessarily a short span of time, but you can get a lot of value with, you know, pairing yourself with the right people, right? One thing I love about my partner, about Yvette, is one thing that really stuck out about her is that she just has a certainty about her. You know, she doesn't second guess herself. Well, I take that back. She probably does, but in her actions, she moves with surety, with certainty. And that's something that I always want to be around, is a person who has certainty about them, right? Because I know that I'm constantly questioning my motives, my actions, you know, my results, weighing them against, you know, my activities and effort. And so just being with somebody who has a sense of certainty, who doesn't spend time second guessing, man, I'm going to trust those instincts that have developed through their time doing it, right? And over time, it's going to make me a more certain person in how I move and how I act. So, you know, I don't look for large crowds in order to move me, but a few key individuals. I think that's why coaching is so important, as well as those relationships that you cultivate.
Beautiful. So, you know, I want to get into the sense of urgency and what is enough, but just to summarize, getting back on track. I'm gonna ask a specific question, so y'all can, you know, you'll have the opportunity to give a very specific answer to this question. My personal belief, and I think both of y'all would agree with this based on what you said. I would think you would agree with this. Talking about the subject of getting back on track, one of the biggest things that you can do, what are the most impactful things that an individual, I would believe, can do to help themselves get back on track, is get together with a group of like-minded individuals, right? Huge, right? So I think that's logical. Like when if I say that to an individual would probably say, yeah, that makes logical sense. So just touch on briefly, as specifically as you can. What do I do? What does a person do that's listening, that is interested in getting back on track, and they see the importance of being around like-minded people? How do I start my own mastermind? It don't have to be official, but I need to find a way to get around the people on a regular basis that are doing the things that I want to do. So how do I start this? How do I start this?
Some advice is I've always listened to is seek out professional organizations and associations in the areas that you want to learn and grow in, right? Like I said, just like the young man who's had some industry experience in finances, he sought out a company or sought out a company that maybe he had heard a little bit about but didn't know enough about, and he sought a professional who worked in that space, you know, through doing a LinkedIn search. Found me, we sat down, you know, and young man's gonna have an opportunity to change the course of his future, you know, when we get back together. So for me, seeking out professional associations, environments, study groups, or, you know, there's just so many different ways that you can do that nowadays, from social media. And I mean, there's groups for any and everything that you want. So seek out a group, especially one maybe not as much as important nowadays locally, but thinking about, you know, locally as well, local groups that do the things that you want to do, and begin to plug in, make a few connections, you know, seek out some individuals who, you know, you see who are making the type of moves that you want to make.
Good stuff.
All
right, so Majita's, don't worry about it.
I don't have an answer for her, but I did want to add a second nugget if you
go for it.
Had a moment. So in addition to professional organizations, try something new. You know, for those who feel like they're off track, you're on the track that you're on because you're doing the things that you've been doing. So seek out something new to do, right? Reach out to a friend that you haven't, you know, talked with in a while. Find out what's going on with them, an old colleague, or, you know, a teacher or a mentor, or, you know, somebody that you had a close relationship, and just find out what's going on in their world, what they're doing, right? Maybe somebody like that has reached out to you recently and told you about something that maybe you weren't ready to hear, you know, oh, they doing something, some business here, or, you know, some group or organization there, and you weren't ready to hear it. Man, seek out those people, because odds are those people will position themselves around like-minded individuals who are helping them move and grow in the direction that they were maybe trying to help you to go.
Did you want to chime in on that, Majita? You don't have to.
I'm gonna just drop the mic on that.
I would say what is it? Doors are open for those who continuously knock.
You just made that up just now.
No, I didn't.
Like just now while we was talking.
That's a wrong.
Now that was Confucius, right? That was.
No, I think that was wrong. Jim Rohn said that doors are open for those who continuously knock. So keep knocking.
Got you.
If you're seeking something, you're gonna find it, you know. But you got to be looking. So that would be my response.
Real quick, let's talk about creating that sense of urgency for yourself, right? You can want it all you want to, but if you never do it, then it'll never happen for you. You can want to do it all you want, but if you don't double time it and act like there's no tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned, you'll probably never get it done, right? So creating that sense of urgency for yourself, which I guess for some people may be easy, because, you know, some people, for me in my current job, like I don't want to be negative towards my job because my job pays the bills right now, but the writing is on the wall, right? So like, it's like, okay, you know, I can't approach my other endeavors with the comfort of, you know, well, you know, I got my job, it's good. If it don't work out, I don't have the luxury of doing that, right? For me, the writing is on the wall, you know, as far as my job, right? So, you know, it is what it is, and I'm either gotta accept it or I gotta double time it on creating something else. So for me, it's easy to create that sense of urgency. For some people, the situation may not be as dire, right? Or they may not feel that it's as dire. So we want to talk for a second about how to create that sense of urgency for yourself. Because I know I need to do it, but I really need to. I need to find a way to get somebody's foot in my butt, or get that feeling that somebody's foot is in my butt, so that I'll stay on it, right? And then you can slide into what is enough as well, right? I wanted you to address that as well, right? Since we're talking about the sense of urgency, okay? You're probably gonna get into telling me how I need to make sure that I'm humping on a regular basis, right? But I think I'm doing enough now. So I kind of wanted y'all to get into that point as well. Why what you're doing may not be enough, and the importance of not judging it by whether it's like I'm gonna go hard as I can. You know what I mean? Not you know, I'm gonna make sure I do enough, because to me that's a whole different mindset. If you focus on just doing enough, that'll trip you up every time. And I think that's applicable to finances as well. Every time I hear a person say I make enough, like, to me that's a scary statement. That's an extremely scary statement, because it's an indication of a person that has gotten content. And again, you know, everybody makes enough until they don't. So it's okay if you make enough and you're content until the other income in the house, you know, I mean, you lose the other income in the house, or a sickness or health, or, you know, your job, or anything unexpected. We live in a volatile environment, so anything can happen at any given time, right? So just kind of wanted to discuss, talk about that, kind of in summary about the stuff that I got written down. Sense of urgency and what is enough. How do I create that sense of urgency for myself, and how do I know when I'm doing enough? Bakar, you gotta go first this time. Margina
okay.
Last time.
I wasn't.
Is that a weird question? If that's a weird question, I'll try to reword it.
Not at all. And I want to give it some thought and give, you know, some positive intention to it, because I must say it's definitely something that, you know, full disclosure, that I'm still struggling with each day.
We all are.
You know, I have a very strong, determined mindset, and so a lot of times when I set my mind to something, it can be very difficult to move me off course, right? Because I trust in my instincts and the self-assessment that I do. And I may not always be, you know, popular in the results and awards I get, but I always find that I get where I'm going. One way or another, I get where I'm going. And so for me, oftentimes, I'd say the number one thing that creates that sense of urgency for me are the relationships in my life. Without, you know, accountability to those that depend on you, that care the most about you, that, you know, whose lifestyles are adversely affected when you're not giving it your all. You know, when you lose touch with those people, I feel like you can really lose touch with yourself. All right. Reading about the Mahatma Gandhi, you know, who grew up in wealth, who left. Now, I'm wondering, is it Gandhi or the Buddha? No, it was the story of the Buddha. Who grew up in wealth, left in order to, you know, he gave up all of his wealth and lessons, and then later kind of found the middle path where, you know, I don't have to be starving in order to find peace and peace of mind. But I don't have to also give up. You know, I don't also need, you know, excess in wealth and riches. And I need to find that middle path, that middle way that works for me. And recognizing what was enough for him was peace of mind. It wasn't giving up the world, but it wasn't having it all. You know, it was I guess finding that middle way, coming back to the middle, as NDRE sings about, finding your middle, right? And so for me, the middle is, you know, me having some time to develop and cultivate my own mind and grow myself. Secondly is having a partner, a companion to go through life with, right? Third is being connected with my faith and my family, right? My brothers and sisters are closest to me. And so I know that I decided and knew that, not decided, but I understood at a young age that I was going to be with my siblings longer than my parents. So I invested more energy into the relationships with my siblings than I may have with my parents. Love my parents, but I'm never going to know them to the extent that I know my brothers and sisters, just because we're going to have more time to do life together, God willing, right? And so
sorry, my baby was over here twerking. Sorry.
We're gonna edit that out.
You doing what?
Stop. Just let it go. Let it go, Maurice. No, don't show us. No.
He was like,
and Zinga doing it. She ain't really twerking.
You know what? She's a dancer. She's a dancer. Excuse me. She's been dancing since she was.
She ain't really twerking. Then we can't have that.
She was bouncing. I'm sorry.
We can't have no bays and eels twerking. That is no good.
You know what? I'm not even gonna touch that tonight. Getting back on the point. I don't want to be too long-winded or belabor it, but for me, it's that family, those relationships, man. You gotta have a relationship with your creator, relationship with yourself, relationship with somebody that's close to you, because otherwise, we live an isolated life, and truth is, nobody was, as our teachers say, no man lives unto himself. We were all placed in society to be able to, as they say, exchange, to receive and confer reciprocal help and mutual obligations. So being obligated to others, I think, helps create that sense of urgency. And when those people aren't, in your life, in your environment, as Majida say, you got to go knock on some doors,
Majida, you want to touch on that, and also touch on what is enough? What is it? I want somebody to touch on that subject of enough as well. Like, how do I know when I'm doing enough? I need the sense of urgency, right? How do I know when I'm doing enough? Am I doing enough? How do I know when I'm doing enough? Right? Just your opinion on enough.
I think that comes back to, like, I want to say knowing yourself, but not like knowing your limited capacity. Because something a mentor of mine says all the time is that most people have never been given an opportunity worthy of their best. Most people never give their best to something. They never give their all to something. He asked the question yesterday, like, when have you given your all to, like, anything, whether it's your marriage, your children, your job? Like, who gives their all, in anything that they do? And so that is really just knowing yourself. Like, what are you willing to give your all to? I know for me, kind of to speak on what Bakar just mentioned, like, for me, it's my children. I'm willing to die for them. So, like, that gives me a sense of urgency. That gives me the urgency to, like, put certain things in place, and they may not be perfect. So enough for me is peace of mind, so there's this balance between, like, being the best version of myself, creating certain opportunities for them, so that if I were to die tomorrow, I don't feel like I left anything on the table per se. Like, I don't want to feel like
it wouldn't matter how you felt. Just to throw that out there. Just had to say that. I'm sorry.
I didn't even catch that. I was good, but
yeah, Shaya says that all the time. She says, if I was dead, I would do that. I'm like, if you were dead, you wouldn't feel anything. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So, I mean, the idea is that, like, in this present moment, have I done all that I could have done to prepare them for when I'm not here? I think it was said in Black Panther, a father who has not prepared his son for his death has not done his job as
a parent.
And so I have conversations with my children about like me not being here, you know, and I see me as being a steward over them, you know, like they were granted and gifted to me for the time that I'm allowed to be here or that they're allowed to be here. And so while they're in my guardianship, if you will, I need to take care of the Creator's children. Like they're not even mine. You know, He gave them to me. It's my job to ensure that I position myself to be able to offer them the best. Because the Creator gave us life, and I think there's a quote that says, "Your gifts and talents are God's gift to you. Like what you do with them is your gift to Him." And so realizing what's in me, like what do I have the potential, and if you feel like there's more in you, there is. You know what I mean? So that's
it right there.
When you know that, like when you feel like there's more that you can be, then that's when you need to start knocking on doors. That's when you need to start seeking guidance to help you realize what's in you. And that has largely to do with your environment. So to answer your question directly, sense of urgency comes from, like Bakar mentioned, your relationships. And I think in a sense, you know, a guy we listen to in my life is your morbidity, like, or your mortality. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your mortality. Tomorrow's not promised. So have you done all that you can do today? Because I think there is this balance. Enough is being present. You know, like today I went to the beach and I could have been distracted by work and a lot of other things, but I chose to be present with my children because in this present moment, that's all that I have. And me enjoying the time with them was more important. And, you know, me worried about whether, I don't know, some email
than anything else.
Right. So enough is allowing yourself to still be present in the moment, you know, while you're seeking to achieve greater. And then sense of urgency is understanding your mortality. Like, I don't have all the time in the world, so I can't keep putting off and procrastinating because I might run out of time before I'm able to do the things that I would like to do. So I think daily I think about that, you know, even in terms, like we have an event coming up in a couple of weeks where we're going to talk about like preparing for life's transitions, you know, whether it's a loved one getting too sick or, you know, passing away, right? What plans do you have in place to make that transition smoother? You know, how have you prepared those who are left behind for when you're no longer here? And so I think as parents, as you know, the connections and relationships that we have is something to consider all the time. You know, while we're here while we're occupying this space, and while we have breath in our bodies, in the world. Sorry. Yes.
While we're occupying.
Right, yeah, but she's listening to Jason Derulo, and I looked over and she's, never mind. I'm not even like almost
present.
Yeah, but it's like she's studying dances. Anyway, so
she's giving it her all.
She is, right? But I think I'll use that as an example, right? Like in being present and recognizing. She's about to listen to Level Up right now. Y'all got to check her out.
Hey, Takara. Welcome to the late call. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Sorry about that.
My friends on the West Coast. Yvette. Takara. Thanks for joining and hanging out with us. We just been having a good time. Sharing our story. We've been talking about a lot of great things. You know, Maurice asked the question, like, what is enough and what can help you create that sense of urgency. So, you know, definitely respond in the chat. You know, what feels like, what is enough for you? And also, you know, what helps to create a sense of urgency, you know, to do the things that you want to accomplish. Maurice, yeah, it's fine. There'll be fireworks going off shortly or something. I'll tell you, for me, what creates a sense of urgency in me, and I'll be honest, I'm not always the greatest in this, you know, because I have my pace, and I'm very aware of it. I have my speed in which I do things, and I'm very, I don't want to say stubborn, but very determined in that, right? I I told my partner when we first got together, man, I have a 2-year plan to see us together. It's not going to be immediate. I'm gonna tell you that today, right? It's something that's just worked for me, and that is a reasonable amount of time, you know, to me. And for her, she was like, man, I want you to be here in San Diego like yesterday. Right? Love that shirt. Well, thank you. I got it from somebody. You know, maybe that was you. But for me, having a sense of urgency, yes, tomorrow isn't promised. So living today fully, like taking advantage of the moment. Like for me, this pandemic has been very eye-opening for me, because it's taught me another things about myself. Like I would not mind having, you know, 3-6 months just to have time with myself, right? And I feel like I just kind of steal and kind of create those moments throughout a day, which is why it's so important for me to have control over my time, right? For me, I've worked to a point where I'm in a situation where I do have control of my time. Now, it's not the ideal look for what I want that to look like, but I recognize I've done work. I've invested in time and energy in having control of my time, invested in the people around me who, you know, support some decisions that I've made in order to create the life that not only going to be beneficial for me, but for everything that I can give back to them. And so I realized I also have to exercise patience with that sense of urgency, right? That I'm not going to grow a cactus plant overnight, right? I'm not going to grow an orchard overnight. As Majida mentioned earlier when we were talking, you know, it's about continuing to plant seeds, right? I'm learning each day, okay, how do I spend my time? How do I budget my time? I'll use that as a better, how do I budget my time when I have, you know, 24 hours to do what I please, right? Am I spending time working with people? And I you know, early this year, I kind of had this formula, man, I want to start the morning with prayer, exercise, and all these other things. You know, I want to spend about, you know, first portion of the day till about noon, working with others, I want to pay myself first at the beginning of the day for the first 2 to 3 hours, and have the rest of the day to be able to help and serve others. And at the end of the day, spend time with the people that are closest to me. It's kind of like a blueprint for my life, right? And I recognize in this environment, I haven't been operating in that space. So I know that there's more that I can give, right? To answer that another question, I know that there's more that I can give toward getting back into that rhythm, getting into that rhythm each day. And I know when I'm in that rhythm, man, it's just every day is a full lifetime. So as I mentioned, like reconnecting with your goals, you know, I know that that's a part of me. So the needle's always gonna move me toward that. You know, these conversations that we have continue to move me and hold me accountable toward that. When somebody's watching this 5 years from now, they're gonna be looking at Bakar and wondering, man, is he where he projected, he forecasted that he would be? You know, and I was just thinking, I said a whole lot about Yvette, man. I'm praying that we get to stay together a long time too, because love you, boo. I could get real awkward in 5 years. Oh no, that was somebody said, what happened to? No, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's those kind of things. You know, that's accountability. I put it out there to the world. So, you know, the goal is to get there.
Yep.
You gotta make those declarations, you know, to yourself, to your family. You know, let your son know, hey, we're going to do X, and your children they'll remind you.
That's what happened. That's what happened with Yasmin.
Tell your wife, exactly.
I told her, I said, "Yo, we getting married." That's exactly how that went down, bro. I painted the vision for her. She bought into it. She rolled right along with it.
Uh-oh,
Yeah.
see that? We got some comments going in the chat. And I didn't see. That's what happened when you say too much. That's between me and my partner, right? And we're making it work. Okay, we're making it work. All right. Let's talk about that offline. I say no because I know what I'm bringing to the table, right? This is what I'm bringing.
I think next week, I think the next show, I would be up for. Yvette said it's that simple, Maurice. Yeah, it was. Yep, it absolutely was.
Hey,
I believe I know what she's talking about.
I said the same to her. It's that simple.
I think this. I would like to talk more about this. Entrepreneurship and relationships.
Oh man, we could definitely get into it.
Yeah. I'm down for that topic.
Well,
I don't know how much I'm gonna chime in, but all right.
What did you say, Margita?
I don't know how much I'm gonna chime in, but all right, yeah.
I'm certain you got plenty to say, because there are all kinds of relationships nowadays. We gotta stop looking at just the traditional model, right? There's all kinds of relationships, right? Situationships and open relationships and blended families and all kinds of stuff, man. We could talk about it. We could touch on it.
Yeah, I think for the entrepreneur, maintaining a relationship is a task. I mean, maintaining a relationship, even if you're not an entrepreneur, is a task, of course. But running a business, being an entrepreneur, like that's your baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is your baby, and so it's like you might be in a situation where you got your baby as your business, and then you got your baby for real, and then you got your spouse. You know what I'm saying? And you got to figure out a way to juggle all three of those, because your business baby is very it don't care. It don't care, right?
No.
It don't care. When it needs attention, it needs attention. When it wants a bottle in his mouth, or when it wants its pamper to be changed, you know what I mean? Like your business, it's you got to be there for it. That's essentially the point that I'm making. You know what I mean? So it is a juggle, being able to juggle a family and a spouse, husband or wife, and build that business baby as well. I've seen a lot of relationships split up over that.
Or not start.
Or not start. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. You're 100% right. 100%.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That's, man, we'll definitely touch on that. Any plugs? What do y'all have coming up? For those that catch this late, you'll miss it. But what do we got going on? Upcoming days, upcoming weeks.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Maurice.
My answer will be quick, Margita. I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of public things. I guess that's the word I'm gonna say, public, right? That's not really the right word I'm looking for. What I'm invested in, putting my time in right now is it doesn't require me to be online really at all. It just doesn't require that. So it doesn't require me to really. I don't have nothing to promote right now. I'm busy doing something. I'm absolutely busy immersing myself into something. But as far as like, it being an update on it in the future, or a new video that I'm putting out about it, or somewhere else where you can go and check it out, it don't even fit those parameters. So for me, it's just staying focused and building what I'm trying to build. That's where I am. No public announcements to make though. So Margita, you might have a few things you want to plug though.
Before you do that, we have a subscriber. Definitely turn on your notifications. Takar, I'm glad that you like it. You missed the first hour and a half, but you know, we appreciate having you. I know you're a hard working woman doing comedy clubs, and I can imagine what is that like nowadays. So all kinds of people working through their challenges. Sorry. Go ahead, Majid. What do you have coming up?
I have a series, a health and wealth series. I'm doing one through Ronnie Bay Enterprises that I've been engaging with different women, entrepreneurs, having conversations about different topics. I'm scheduled to have something on Sunday. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed with my guest speaker, but I'm supposed to be talking with a midwife out of Texas. We're just talking about alternatives in terms of women, during that time where they're expecting, um, working with a midwife and some of the things that she is able to do uh, as support for that mother before, during, and after pregnancy. And then the last speaker in my personal series is a young lady out of Missouri who I was able to connect with through our Mochapreneur network. And I'm going to be talking about just things that you can do for your health. She's a Zumba instructor and yoga instructor, and just things about tying in, taking care of your physical health so that you don't deplete your financial wealth paying for your physical health. So, and then along with our Momentum Mentors group, we're going to be having an event on the 16th and on the 30th. The 16th, we'll be talking about preparing for life's transition. So talking about long-term care and estate planning. And then on the 30th, we'll actually be talking about your relationship with money with financial coach Felicia Johnson. So looking forward to that.
Awesome.
That'll be through the end of July. And then we'll have some other stuff coming up in August, some different challenges and things like that we'll be promoting through both my business page and my groups right now on Facebook. So.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to add some tags, or we'll make sure to add some tags and links to our Seer Mastermind group. I've been your host to our podcast. Is episode 6, man. I'm looking forward to continuing the story, our journey, our way. So that'll be every 2 weeks. We're going live on Facebook 10:30 p.m. So mark it on your calendars. Like I said, today is July 3rd. Put it on your calendar, turn on your notifications. And I think Maurice will work together to create a regular event that people can join in and make sure that they see it, they can jump on when we're here getting together and chatting. Now, cool. We also have on the Sundays before our podcast call we have our shared mastermind group where we get together for about an hour and a half on Sundays in order to discuss our goals and to hold each other accountable. That's where we really get into the nitty gritty. We employ those mastermind principles in order to help each other maintain that, that support, to encourage one another, to touch base on our goals. And then we also have a hot seat to help an individual with, specific challenges that they're working through. And so, definitely looking to continue to grow that community. I'll be doing a little more outreach during the next, through the upcoming weeks and months. Also have, ongoing, those who are interested in learning Forex trading, with the individuals I've connected with, we can put that information and I can give you access and help you with that. Of course, Momentum Mentors, I'm also affiliated and a partner with them. And so, continuing to connect people with those events coming up. Man, there's just, as Maurice mentioned, it's a turning point, right? We've had chance to figure out, okay, how are we going to begin to move? I'm really curious. I'm actually moving to the education space a little bit as well. So we're going to be doing some remote teaching. I'm really curious to see how that begins to play itself out in the upcoming school year, and so learning how education is going to evolve in this transitional period. So I'll be adding some updates on the podcast, and I've actually taken a step back from some of the distractions in social media outside of the mastermind group to really just focus on honing in on what we're building and what we're growing here. So this is where you can find me. Share Mastermind on Facebook, Momentum Mentors, YouTube page, and you've got connections to me on LinkedIn is a great place to connect, as well as on my Instagram page, BOBEY_world. All right.
There it is.
All right, man. Man, somehow we keep these things going long, but man, I think we're gonna have a syndicated radio show at some point. The way things are going, man, I enjoy spending time with y'all, and love those who are able to sit in. We definitely, I'm gonna do a little better promoting, making sure that people know that we're here, and I know we've had some great conversations with people in the room. We got to have you on, Takara. For those that don't know, Takara Williams, famous comedian from Bring the Funny, a finalist there, and a good friend of mine. Happy to see you there and enjoying, and definitely tell your friends about who we are, what we're doing here. I'm sure that they'd love to sit in on the conversation. All right. All right. Well, that's the night. I've got a West Coast call to make. You know how it goes. After every podcast.
Yeah, I got business to handle too. I got to run out right now. I got business to handle, man.
Awesome.
Always working, bro.
For those that are here, be safe. Enjoy the 4th. All right. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Enjoy the weekend. Please, everybody, be safe. Absolutely.
Be safe. Practice social distancing. Make sure you wear your mask, and don't blow yourself up. We want you to be here next time we get together. Not just for us, but for you.
I know. Before we get off, though, has anybody else noticed the frequency of like fireworks or gunshots on a regular basis at night?
I live in the country.
Yeah.
You live in the country, right?
That's what we do out here at nighttime. That's what we do. That's the norm out here. Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely.
I was on a call earlier and somebody had mentioned it, like, and one person suggested, under a conspiracy theorist agenda, that like,
we don't have to put this on the live, do we? Can we?
Well, no, I guess the idea that like there may be like under or covert things like getting us used to the sound of like gunfire. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's weird, but like every night, like I'm hearing, and this has been going on for like weeks. I don't know what it was at first, but it was somebody mentioned tonight. I'm like, yeah, I have regularly been hearing, and it ain't just like on no fireworks type stuff, like.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah, I've noticed it too a little bit. But I don't, it's a distraction.
Perhaps.
Not me. I haven't noticed it. Nothing different.
Who knows? Well, like I said, be safe. Enjoy the weekend. Happy birthday to our niece, Dakira Amina. I know she's excited. She's still up? Yeah. She goes to bed. I know when she sleeps, she sleeps. So,
2-year-old
we'll touch base. Well,
yeah.
I'm about to end this Facebook live stream.
Go ahead, and because we got nothing else. We just go. This is how we do. We get together, man.
Yeah. Now go ahead and say the catchphrase so we can go out. You see you next week on
our story, our journey, our way.